Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. A bit of a different one again today, but this time it's definitely is Arsenal orientated. You'll love it. It's obviously 19 years now since the passing of an ex-Arsenal player, David Rocky Rocastle. Came through the ranks, part a huge part of '89 and Anfield, the night of Anfield, is his anniversary. I thought I've been trying. I wanted to do this for a while now. Obviously, I contacted Kevin a few months back. Who was trying to work out dates, and it's so happened this morning. I got Kevin let me know he was available today. So, and what better day to do it on his anniversary? And obviously, got Lee Judge as his best mate, and
Uncle Lee,
and James Rowe as well. Back, all people that are obviously old enough, and obviously like Kevin had that privilege of working with him day in, day out. So I just wanted obviously do a tribute to him. And just before we get started, it's not, as I said, it's 19 years. It doesn't get any easier for anyone, an ex-player that played with him or fan, but the love gets bigger and bigger every year for him. And the reputation he had for being so genuine and down to earth and leading by example, basically, to the fan base and people outside of the club. You don't see that nowadays. We've seen this weekend certain players do what they're doing, not telling the public to do one thing, but not doing it themselves. From what I can make out, David would never have done that. He would have literally led by example. Nope, he was never in the papers, never in any negative storylines about him. He was always the nice guy. He was literally, you couldn't find a nicer guy basically in football, and I think that's led by, especially today, with the tributes that have been coming from the likes of the Leeds United, the reporters from the media and everything that from old enough to remember him as he was. That he was just a fantastic player and a fantastic man. We're going to start with Kevin because obviously you obviously had the privilege of, as I said before, playing with him, training with him, working with him. What was it like? Because obviously he was a bit ahead of you as well.
He was a few years older than me.
Yeah, so when you broke in, what was it like training with him day in, day out, and obviously away from the training pitch as well?
Well, I mean, I always look at Rocky as two different people, because one was the teammate, the player, who was incredibly talented. He was that good that George Graham had to restrict him in training because, he would have needed a ball all for himself because he was that gifted, dribbling ability, etc. And then there was Rocky away from the pitch, who was just genuinely a lovely human being, who, if you had any problems, anything bothering you, you could always go to Rocky and sit down with him, and he'd give you the best advice. Or if he didn't know, he'd make sure he found out, and he would work things out with you. So what an incredible guy. He was an incredible friend, brother, teammate. I could go on and on and on crying about him. And I'll be honest with you, I think I've mentioned this to Lee Judges before, that it's been 19 years and it's still no easier for me. I still find it difficult to actually say he's gone. Anybody seeing my post, I say happy birthday. And people are telling me it's not his birthday. I know it's not his birthday. But for me, it's still so painful to even say, rest in peace, or rest in eternal peace or whatever. I just find it so difficult to do. So I'd rather say happy birthday. I know it's not his birthday, and then everybody could lump on from there. But it's still so difficult because I owe so much to Rocky, the likes of Rocky, Paul Davis, and all these guys, Michael Thomas, and these guys coming through the ranks, like I did, helping me to be the type of player that I could fulfill at Arsenal. Without them, I don't know whether I'd have been able to do it. So, I'll give him so much credit and so much props for being that Mr. Arsenal, because that's what he was. There was two. There was Tony Adams and there was him. And Rocky didn't need the armband.
No.
To be a leader.
And I think also the story of how he left, or if you say forced out, when it was it Leeds he was moved on to from Arsenal.
Yeah.
He cried. Obviously, he was crying in the clock. He didn't want to go. You don't you don't get these days. The players are forcing it. If things don't go their way, be an injury-prone season, they want to they're forcing themselves out. Arsenal was everything to him. It was in his DNA, and to hear that he sat in a car after being told that he ain't got a choice in the matter, he sat in the car absolutely torn to bits. From
Ryan, I tell you,
that meant everything to us.
Ryan, I tell you that the squad was really down for a good few days, and George Graham had to have a meeting, and we had to discuss it. Not a lot of people know or got that, but Rocky was so much like the glue for that squad, and we all knew he had a knee issue, but it never stopped him training, never stopped him doing what he could do on the football pitch. But George Graham, ruthless guy that he was the leader as a manager, decided to cull him. And, a lot of the boys weren't happy. We weren't happy. So, we needed to clear the air meeting to get us back on track.
Was there any sort of rumblings before that there's a possibility of George Graham doing this in the first place?
Well, I think what everybody could do, everybody who were connected with Arsenal could see there were times where Rocky weren't playing as much. There was times where he'll get some games, and then there'll be times where Rocky wouldn't play as much. And under George Graham, if you're not doing what you're paid to do, or you're not pulling your weight, he was ruthless enough that he would look to try and change. But how do you change somebody like Rocky? Sometimes you don't realize how important a guy is to the football club until he's gone. And I think George Graham recognized that when, he made the move and obviously done the deal with Leeds. And then when Rocky weren't part of it anymore, I think he quickly realized just how much Rocky meant, because even to the likes of Theo Foley and people like that, Rocky meant an awful lot. Being from South London boy, and Theo living over that way, they shared many a car journey together, and just understood just what a big character and a lovely character Rocky was.
Lee, as a fan, what was it like seeing someone come through the academy, come through the system like Rocky, and see the progression he did, and obviously win the titles in '89 and '91?
When Rocky came into the team, he was a breath of fresh air when he came into the team. I remember, now I'm not 100% sure on this, but we went to his England debut. About 4 or 5 of us went to his England debut at Wembley. It was a 0-0. I know it was 0-0. It might have been Denmark or someone like that. But we decided that on the day that Rocastle is going to be playing for his first England game, and we went to watch it. Now, if anybody that knows me, I'm not a great England fan. Never have been. It's always been Arsenal. But the reason I went over there was because he was playing and making his debut, and we went. And that's the sort of pull that he had for us fans. And, when, funny enough, I've been asked to put my favourite player for every team. And I put David down as my favourite Leeds player because, you could do it because he played for Leeds, So you just got to get him in there. I think when people put out their best all-time 11s, he's definitely in with a shout, and he was absolutely outstanding. And the greatest thing, one of the things about this lockdown at the moment, I've been able to go back and watch a few games. And 91, he had that injury, but people don't do it justice. But before the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games of that 91, it's very influential with some goals and the way he played. And I know he's done interviews afterwards saying that he didn't contribute as much as he liked to do. But, you know, he contributed and, you know, deserved his second title medal. And so, you know, and when you look back at it now, 19 years today, it was shocking for us fans. Obviously, worse for the players like Kevin who knew him. I unfortunately never got to meet David. I'd love to have met him, but I look back now. It's 19 years now, and when you're watching things and seeing all the photos coming on Twitter and everybody there, it just brings a smile to my face. And I'm just hoping that all his family are seeing all that today and realising that the love that all the fans had for him, and players like Kevin, you know, Ian Wright's done some great stuff. Anders Limpar put a fantastic photo on Twitter today, you know, and I just think that for his family, you know, it's a massive, massive loss for him. But to see that love that he has from not just Arsenal fans, the Chelsea fans that I've been doing, Leeds fans as well, you know, I think it's fantastic. And I can't help but smile when you mention Rocky now, like, you know, and the number 7 shirt. And I just think it's, you know, it's a sad, sad time, but, you know, we should embrace what he was and what he was to Arsenal and what he was to the fans as well. You know, I remember I was, you know, Kevin was saying he was 17, I was 19. And when I was playing, I tried that little step over, like, you know what I mean? Because he invented that step over. He made it look so good, so easy. But, you know, at full pace, he used to do that. Yeah. And he used to beat players, professional footballers with that time and time and time again. You know what I mean? Like, you knew it was coming, but he'd done it. But when I tried it, the ball went out. You know, I never got it off to a tee like Rocky did. You know what I mean? So, but great memories and a wonderful, wonderful player.
Yeah. What about yourself, James? What are your memories of Rocky?
Me, I was a very young gooner when David Rocastle was playing for Arsenal. I was like 6, 7 years old and really starting to get into watching Arsenal and being excited about Arsenal. And obviously you had like the fan books and reading more information and you know, he encapsulated everything that was good about Arsenal. And one thing that I think is great about today, Arsenal fans, young and old, worldwide, that remember, and like Lee said, all the Twitter tributes, and I tweeted out today about the matchday programme tribute that the club did before the Valencia Champions League game, a couple of days after he passed on, where they did like a 2-page spread and, you know, Wenger's comments and how the whole club felt about him. I tweeted that out this morning. He encapsulated everything that was good about Arsenal, and his attitude was first class. You know, like you said, about to have such a tremendous attitude, to want to play for the club, to win for the club, and also the collective togetherness as well. That was something that really stuck out for me. He wasn't an individual in the sense of, you know, it was all about him. It was, you know, he played his part, but it was about the collective. And that was why Arsenal was so strong. I mean, you think of 89, he won the free kick, which led to the first goal. And he was the one that was pumping the fist, saying, come on, we can do this. Come on, let's go. And look what happens. And for him to be so crestfallen at leaving the club because it meant so much to him, but to also be so professional at the likes of Leeds United and also Manchester City as well. He went on to be ever so professional for these clubs. So he's a very, very special player. And a day like today, although it's very difficult for many an Arsenal fan and player that played alongside him, it's great that we can come together and pay respects and tribute to one of the greatest players to ever play for Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And as you touched on there about the role model, a lot of these players, modern day players, can take a leaf out of his book. But seriously, the not just his attitude, as I said, but get top of the show. He was never, from what I can make out, Kevin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and me, but it was never in the papers for doing anything he shouldn't have been doing. He was always the professional, as you said, absolute professional on and off the pitch, led by example. And you got these fans now. They should be they should look towards the likes of Rocky as an example of what someone should be it a footballer or a dentist or chef or whatever you do in your life. That's the example you should be looking at, not the likes of Jack Grealish or whoever who say one thing but do the complete opposite. Also, these players as well, these young players as well in this generation it's sort of handed to them. Whereas obviously Kevin, yourself, and Rocky and Ian and Tony Adams, you had to graft to get where you were to get to that point. It's actually handed to them, and it's because it's handed to them so easy in these days, there's that spoiled attitude of, it does frustrate the living daylights out of me.
I think there's a lot of Gooners who remember the Highbury days who are a little bit frustrated now because obviously, not at Highbury, at the Emirates now, and the feeling isn't quite the same.
No.
For whatever reason, whether it's the atmosphere, whether it's the actual team or whatever, are not quite the same. But I like to take it back just a touch because it was a privilege to play for Arsenal and to have peers like Adams and Rocastle and Thomas and all these guys ahead of you, Paul Davis, to have these guys ahead of you, there was a class. It was like you needed to have a certain amount of class about you to play for Arsenal, and that phrase that Rocky come out with, it's been in Arsenal for a long time, but it just seemed to stick with Rocky. Remember who you are, what you are, and who you represent. That was what it was about to play for Arsenal. That was everything. And everybody in the football club who came before or probably after took it on as a mantra. And I think Rocky gets quoted about saying that regularly to us youngsters because it was a class thing to say, class thing to have, and it was a class thing to follow because Arsenal were and Arsenal still are not like any other club. I've been around, I've spoken to loads of people. Anybody who plays for Arsenal are not like any other club, let me tell you. And it's still the same now. We know we've gone through some trials and tribulations at the club and, there's been some infighting, etc. But the club is still a classy club. And I just want Mikel Arteta now to start implementing, who you are, what you are, and who you represent. And, I just want that to be the mantra now. I don't care what the name says on the back of the shirts. I want that class to be back.
You got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Kevin. Like it's fascinating when Kevin's told me some stories and everything about Rocky and the way it was and all that. But from a fan looking in, like I don't know if Kevin has had it or not, but there are clubs that I've been to and it can be a little bit cliquey, a little bit like you go into there as a youngster and they don't want to. I'm not going to mention the club it was. There was a big club that I played for that, were worried about their place, worried about their money and all that, or we might. So they didn't want to see an up and young kid coming through or whatever like that. It made it very difficult for the youngsters coming. I just don't imagine that would have been allowed to happen when Rocastle was there or Paul. I'd imagine you're going into this massive club like Arsenal and they were giving you a chance, and you could see that camaraderie was on the pitch. You could see the fight that it done, and that time I have to go into the 86-87 season when George Graham first come to the club. There was a mindset, there was a change. But it was these young guns, if you want to coming through, and I think that because of that, there's always been an affinity. My dad will always turn around and say Charlie George was something special at Arsenal. Georgie Graham was something special because they come through. Even in that generation. And it's the same for me. Always have an affinity as an Arsenal fan to those youngsters that come through the ranks, yes, I love Charlie Nicholas, he was my idol and all that, but David Rocastle, Michael Thomas, Paul Davis, they all come through. Paul Davis, by the way, come through when it was tough a little bit earlier, won the fans over, but they come through and you just had an affinity with them, and I have to say that David Rocastle to me was the leader of that, even more so than Tony Adams, because he was in the midfield. He was where it mattered. The 87, I think Kevin's going to talk about in a minute. Like the 87, like I was lucky enough to go to those games. They was unbelievable. Like it was incredible. It was in two incredible games.
Lee, is that the semi-finals?
The semi-final, yeah, the semi-final. He got one over me, So. But I don't know if you remember it. On the Sunday, it poured with rain. It was unbelievable. It was actually 2-0 down. We come back to 2-2. Niall Quinn and I've got the equaliser. I think Viv Anderson got Viv Anderson got the. So we actually got it back to 2-2, and then we goes back there and
toss of a coin, Lee. Remember?
Toss of a coin, yeah, and they're winning again. Yeah. And you know we got it back with Ian Anderson. Now Ian Anderson managed when I was playing Baldock one time. This is a story, and I was playing. He was actually playing, and I was talking to him, and I said. I'll never, the ball had gone out, and I said, no, thank you for giving that great goal. No, I'll have to buy you a beer at the end of the game and all that. Anyway, they beat us 2-1, and as soon as he walked in, Ian Anderson, he said, "Where's that beer?" So, I mean, it was a great day. So again, I remember that day talking fondly about Rocastle when he actually scored the winner. But him to get the winner, and if you look back on it, and anybody looks back on it, he doesn't go mad. He doesn't go into the crowd, winding the Spurs fans up. There's a dignity in the way he celebrates that goal, and he was a role model for the Arsenal fans as well, because that's there was that way that we behaved. And there's a lot of talk about racism and everything now in football, and back even in that day there. But this was a black player that was an idol to white fans as well. And I think that is such a key thing that he done, and he just changed mentality of a lot of people because of the way he was. 100% gifted player, but would roll up his sleeves if things weren't going well, and fans would look at the generation now of the team now. They should look back at those old games, because why Arsenal love Rocastle, David Rocastle, Rocky, and it's great name, by the way, Rocky Rocastle. I love it, but it's because he was a gifted player. He was a brilliant player. But I tell you what he would do. He would work his absolute socks off to try and get Arsenal a point, whether we was doing well or not. And that is the thing that an Arsenal fan will tolerate. They tolerate a defeat. They tolerate that, but they won't tolerate people not working. And David Rocastle would work. He had bad games for Arsenal, like everybody, but he worked hard. And I've got, I reminisce perhaps too much and look back on these things, and I feel sorry for the younger generation that, when I was going up 18, 19, you had all of these guys coming through, and the ones before, the Frank Stapletons and Liam Brady's and these sort of guys now. I feel blessed to have been an Arsenal fan. And, when people slag me off and say, you old git and all that, I think, hold on a minute, I've experienced something that you've not. And I look at the players now, and they're not in the same league as what you're saying, attitude and commitment to the Arsenal. All these players were Arsenal through and through, and you could relate to them. And I think that's the key. You can relate, even though I never met David, you could relate to him. You can relate to Kevin, you can relate to Ian Wright, and all these. I don't think you can do now, because the game's changed. I'm not criticising the players for that. It has changed a little bit, but I just think that, and I'll tell you what, you say about the players are upset when he was leaving. I can tell you the fans were and all that day that come out. I'm going to be honest. I've seen him in a Chelsea shirt. I've seen him in a Man City shirt. I've seen him in a Leicester shirt, Leeds shirt. It doesn't look right. The yellow and blue and the red and white suits him. You know what I mean? And that's it.
James, you got anything to add to that?
Well, I just wanted to elaborate on what Lee was saying. The game has changed. I think what you said about I think the character has changed. There's different characters in this day and age. If you think of how record 20 years is, and I just wanted to say to Lee as well, you got your memories and nobody can take them away from you. And that's the most important thing in these strange times at the moment, when we're on lockdown and people are watching old footage, and it brings a smile to your face, because you think of memories that you think, that was a great day. I mean, I'm an avid program collector of the games that I go to, not just the games I go to, but even when I was a kid, I used to read Arsenal programs instead of bedtime stories. My mum used to have arguments with the teachers saying he don't read, and my mum said, yes, he does. He reads Arsenal programs, and that was enough for her. And on that note, I've been at a few Arsenal games. On that note, I've been at a few Arsenal games during the anniversary of Rocky Rocastle through the years. And in the case of, I think, Watford at home in 2016 on his anniversary, and also Man City at home on 2017 on his anniversary. The club never put him on the front cover. They had the photos of the Everton away game one year, and another year they had Alexis Sanchez. I think the club now, every year, because the programme is so important to so many people, I hope the club now can come out every year of his anniversary on the weekend of a home game, put him on the front cover, have a double page or triple page spread on who he was for the younger generation. It's for the people that know and the people that saw him, and they'll also enjoy reading those memories. And I think the club can they can help their public relations just that little bit more by going forward every anniversary at the Arsenal on the weekend of his anniversary of his passing, put his face on the front cover and have the programme about him.
Yeah, great point. Great point.
Also, I think what they should do, I can't believe they haven't done. They've done it for Bergkamp, they've done it for Henry, they've done it for Herbert Chapman and Tony Adams, the statue as well. Be it just something to again reconnect with the fans, show the fan base that the club do give a toss basically in this day and age. Like the board itself they do know who he is and what he's about, this, that, and the other. Because again, he, as you said, he was apart from Tony Adams, he was Mr. Arsenal. Arsenal run through his veins. So why not have a statue to again? And invite his family to the actual what's name?
The unveiling.
The unveiling. And again, that because of that, again with the fan base, and then it shows again they care. And that's a class as well.
Well, I've got to say, Ryan, I went to a do with the lads at the Emirates, and Janet was there, Rocky's wife, and I've not seen Janet in years because I wouldn't even go. It affected me that much. I wouldn't even go to the funeral. And seeing Janet there, and you know, Janet's from Brixton, I'm from Brixton, so we kind of knew each other, and you know, seeing her and speaking to her, and her daughter was there and stuff like that. You know, the family are just Rocky. They're just such nice people, and I think it would be a travesty if it didn't happen. But I don't think there's any fan who would deny Rocky doesn't deserve a statue at the Emirates right now. I don't think there's anybody who would deny that. Just such lovely people. The nature of them as well is so nice, so caring, so loving, and Arsenal's still such a dear part in their heart. You know, it should only go one way, and that should be for a statue for Rocky.
I think, what was it, the first season we moved from Highbury to the Emirates, the charity of the season for the club was David's charity, in honour of David, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Again, that showed class back then, but the board, like David Dean, is not there anymore. Do you think with David Dean, not David Dean and some other members of the board back then were still in the board now? The things like James has said about the match day programme suddenly in the last few years, that wouldn't have changed. That would still be on the nearest game to his anniversary or on the anniversary itself. Have him on the front cover. Would there be a statue already there?
But possibly, I think the feeling of the old board obviously is different to the new board, because the buy-in of the old board to the players was a lot more. There was a lot more of a connection there. You know, when you've gone through the trenches, when you've gone through the hard yards, when you've gone and won trophies, and you know what people have actually done, and it's a lot of the time. Sometimes it's not what you've done on the pitch; it's how you've helped the club off the pitch in recruiting young players, etc. I don't know if anybody's seen the likes of Paul Dickoff. You know, he could have had the pick of clubs, which club he went to. And Rocky went out of his way to make sure that he met the family and met them at dinner, went out and surprised everybody, turned up for the dinner. And, you know, explained to them what Arsenal was all about. So what happened? Paul Dickov straight away said, "Yeah, I'm signing for Arsenal." So it's that type of cachet, that presence that he had, that could help the football club. And he's a special man, really special man. And I'm just so pleased we could get together and celebrate his life, because what an absolute star he was.
I think it was also good that, okay, they didn't put it on the front of the program, but they do the tweets today and things like that, so that the youngsters will know what he's about. And if you've got any sort of love for Arsenal, like I did as a youngster, you'd look back and go, "Oh, I want to find out about George Graham. I want to find out about the '71 team. I want to find out that," and they can go in there and have a look. I think it's also fantastic that 9 times out of 10, probably, I'll say 10 times out of 10, every away game, his name gets sung out, even now, and I think that's always a great thing, because, the generation, as 19 years is a long time for that, of a lot of fans now that were going then, don't go so much now. New generation of fan comes on, but they're still being taught by the older generation that what it was meant to be Arsenal. And I think that he is the beacon of that, I do really believe that, and not just because of his passing, it's just the way he was. He was a player that everybody respected. Obviously I'm lucky to know Kevin. Through Kevin, met a few of the Arsenal players and all that. Every one of them, Tony Adams included, could not speak highly enough of what he is as a person. Like Tony Adams, this great leader, or Rocky was a great leader. He was my man. This, and everybody that speaks of him so very, very highly. Now, to go through football and not have no one like it, no one dislike you is a massive thing when you're and a player like him that was giving it, like when you go back to that day, Kevin, like the tackles were flying in and everything, and he was no shy. Well, he weren't shy with a tackle, was he, David? He
no, loved the tackle,
And I just want to bring up, the goal against Man United. I was talking about it before. That if no one has seen that goal, please go back and watch that goal. Because it's not just what he does, it's the players that he leaves on the floor. You know what I mean? 2 of the best England midfield players of all time in Ince and Brian Robson, and then probably to beat the Schmeichel, who was, I think, the best goalkeeper about at that time. It was Schmeichel in goal, wasn't it? I think
it was.
It was it, right, So it's an unbelievable goal, and some people. Nasty people say it's an own goal. Well, it's not an own goal. It's a David Rocastle screamer. It's an absolute wonder goal, And he done that on, off my back. I can think of the one at Tottenham in the league. Aston Villa, he got a great goal. He got and there was one at Highbury. I can't remember who it was against Kevin when he went around about 4
dribbles through loads.
Yeah, do you remember that one? Oh, and then finish it. But, some quality goals as well.
How about that one at Anfield with the outside of his right?
Yeah. Oh yes, bang. I think we lost that one, didn't we? Or we drew it, or drawn that one.
I think we drew one.
Drew 1-1 or something like yeah. And some wonder goals on top of what on his assists. And if he was playing now, how much would he be worth now? When you think of it, it'd be unbelievable.
He'd be at Real Madrid or something.
Yeah.
The way Arsenal have been going, we couldn't hold him.
Yeah, he would have gone. They'd have gone after 89. It would have been off you go. But some wonderful goal. I think I think that the greatest thing about it, and Kevin, you can can always be a great person and a lovely lad. But look, which he was. On top of that, he was a top class footballer as well. So he had the whole baggage, the whole 9 yards, as they say.
Guys, I've got a question for you guys. What's your favourite Rocky moment?
For me, it's obvious. 87, that last minute. It's got to be, you know what I mean? I have to say I missed out on 89 because I didn't think we was going to win the league. And I have to say, I know. I thought it had gone against Wimbledon. I don't even when we drew 2-2. I walked out and I said, I ain't going up there. I ain't going up. Friday night. I was only young at at the time. It was difficult with money and all that, so I didn't go. Steve, you know, I'm always jealous of it. Still went and had the time of his life. So I didn't go to 89, but I did go to 87, and to this day to now, it's still the most unbelievable game that I've ever been to, because we'd lost it. They were giving it against Spurs. That's when you had the terraces, which were unbelievable. So for me, 87 at White Hart Lane is my favourite memory.
James?
I think I'll go for 89. I think for the fist pump. I think that image of him
very good.
That image of him raising his fists and his face of pure determination. As I say, not going back to just himself, the whole team. If this is an opportunity now, come on, let's take it with both hands. And you could see it in his eyes how much he wanted it, not just for himself but also the team, to be a fantastic climax and one of the, if not the best moment in the club's history in terms of winning a league title, and just a very special player, and just delighted to have him connected with my club, really.
Kev, what about you?
No, hold on. What, Ross Ryan?
All right.
Well, it's two, obviously 89, because that was a start after, what was it? What's the first time since 71 we won the league? So as we all know, that meant so much to him as we all said, coming through the ranks. So that, and obviously, as you've touched on, the fist pump, but also 91, the title winning there, because to be an Arsenal player, come through the ranks again, but to lift the title and celebrate the title with your home fans, just 2 years later.
Yeah, brilliant point.
My favourite point, obviously, you guys, you might have heard about it, but was after 89, and we've been to the Winners' Club, and we come back to the ground on the coach. So it was only myself, Rocky, Tony Donnelly, the kit man, and Frank, the driver. So we're taking all the skips off, and there's a gooner on the steps, out blitzed, he was, out of it. So Rocky turned to me and said, Rambo, should we wake him up? So I said, yeah, let's wake him up. So Rocky gets 3 beers. We wake the fella up, and the guy's like, Rocky, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's Rocky. So Rocky said, you know, what was your night like? And the guy went about telling us he was in the Arsenal tavern, and it all kicked off, and, you know, he's not going home the whole weekend. And, you know, we said, we know that. We could see you not going anywhere right now. So we took him in the Marble Halls. We had a beer with him and stuff like that. And he was just so delighted to speak to Rocky, and Rocky showed him his medal and stuff like that. You know, there ain't many players who would have done that.
Nah, that's great.
Many players might have said, you know, hello, mate, how you doing? But take the time to sit with him and talk to him. And, you know, that left a massive impression on me. And then after that, the guy went off, and me and Rocky shared a taxi from Highbury to Brixton. And he had the taxi driver playing all the Bob Marley songs. And it was just, you know, that for me, that's what Rocky was like. He transcended football, man. He was just a top guy. And we done it all again on this Sunday, because it was on the Sunday, it was the parade.
Right, yeah.
So it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Those parades were fantastic back when they, you know, like any parade like that, the Arsenal's fantastic. Thousands and thousands of fans.
Town hall, down at the town hall, and people on swinging off the lampposts and all sorts.
Oh, I could do with a day like that again. I'll tell you, like, you know.
Could do with a couple of them, Lee.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Oh, so before we wrap up, I want to get your top 3 goals each off from Rocky. We'll come back. Kevin will leave you to last. I'll give you a chance, even your team, which I'll give you. So I'll go from James to Lee to Kevin. So James,
you fell away then, Ryan. What was the question again? Sorry about that.
Your top 3 favourite Rocky goals.
Top 3 favourite moments.
Rocky goals.
Oh, Rocky goals. Oh, I'd have to go first and foremost. I think Manchester United at Old Trafford. Sorry about that, Lee.
Yeah, you can take my thunder.
Probably that might be your number one. That Lee makes a great point about that goal as well. It's the physicality to shrug off a Robson and an Ince and to see Schmeichel off his line. And I think the second one would have to be because that was just so special to get through to Lee. And which one of the ones I like, he scored a goal away at Aston Villa, I think in the late 80s.
Yeah.
The lob.
And I think it was also
Great
a chip
goal.
with a goalkeeper. It was off his line.
Yeah.
And that remains a absolutely fantastic goal. Villa Park even then was no easy place to go.
That's
and
right.
to score a goal of that ilk was very impressive.
Lee?
Yeah, well, I'm going to change my third one now because that was my third one, that Aston Villa one. But definitely one.
That was one of mine as well.
Yeah, definitely the one at Old Trafford was. I just think it was just the opposition, everything about it.
That's number one.
It's number one. It's number one. Number two, it weren't the greatest goal in the world, but for what it meant to, because I think that goal changed the direction of Arsenal Football Club. I believe we went on to won the League Cup. If we'd never won the League Cup the year, who knows what would have happened? It changed. It was, it was
momentum shift, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was magic. And I'm going to go for the third one. I'm not too sure it was a goal. I'm going to have to go and have a look it up. Is when he dribbled past about four of them, a little shimmer, and he smashed it in at Highbury. So I felt that one at White Hart Lane, one at Old Trafford, and one at Highbury. So that's what I'm going to go for. That one there. You can't bet £3,000. You can't bet. You can't fail not to do well and score at. And he's done it, and that's the three I'm going for.
Right. Well.
Beat that, Campbell.
James has taken number one. Cheers, James. Yeah, so that goal at Old Trafford was fantastic. Look, I'm going to go for in no particular order, obviously. And what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and get the goals. I'm going to try and put my three on.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I'll put them in. Was that strike at Anfield was just a pure one touch and hit, incredible strike. Superb Rocky goal, obviously. I think the Rocky scored a goal. I think it was against Southampton away, where we had yellow shirts, white shorts, and yellow socks. And Rocky got played through, and I think there was a couple of defenders, and he's done some skills, and he's just got into the box. And he's drawn the keeper and he's just smashed it left-footed past the goalkeeper. That was another one. And the third one was, I still love that third goal. I think it was a third goal or whatever at Villa Park, where I think it was Derek Mountfield tried to stop the ball going in from the lob.
Yeah.
And he gets tangled up in the net. He gets tangled like a fish, like a big fish. He gets tangled up in the net. So that's obviously there's the other ones I could choose, but I'm going to choose those three, and I'm going to look to put them on with Lee. That semi-final goal. I'm going for four. The semi-final one was a momentum changer.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to try and find that goal where he weaves his way around as well, because I want to know that could have been against Plymouth. It's coming in my head, Plymouth, but I'm not sure.
I think it's Southampton.
No, the one at Highbury when he goes round everybody.
Oh,
was it Plymouth?
You know what? That might have been that might have been Middlesbrough. Yeah, that could have been Borough.
James, if it is great knowledge, you know what I mean. So I'll go through the archives. I'll have a little look. You know what I mean. So it'll be my pleasure.
It's either Borough or Villa.
Right.
One of the two. About yours, Ryan.
Oh. Number one has to be the top for me. The Tottenham one.
Yeah.
Just because, as you said, that swung the momentum, got to the final. I think was it Liverpool in the final as well.
Yeah.
So again,
remember Liverpool hadn't lost when Russ scores. You remember?
Yeah. And
certain Charlie Nicholas got a couple that day.
So again, that helped the momentum. That again, as we say, helped that momentum swing from pure dominance of Liverpool winning, literally being the dominant team they were in England and Europe. So we started being competitive. So without Rocastle's winner, that we could arguably say 89 could never have happened going forward. Man United second, and then the hype one league talking about third.
Where he dribbles past everybody.
Yeah, it was a quality goal. Quality goal.
Yeah.
And the Ivory pitch weren't, if I remember rightly, then Kevin weren't the greatest.
No, it used to cut up at times.
Cut up a little bit, didn't it? Like, you know what I mean? It used to cut up roughly in those days. You know what I mean? So not like now. So the pitches weren't the greatest then. So
no.
Great memories.
Not like the bowling greens now.
Yeah.
Imagine him playing on the modern day pitches now. Then.
Yeah.
Wow. I tell you, at times it'd be unstoppable because he was unstoppable on some of them pitches.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, what would he be like now? Wow.
Oh,
amazing.
Well, it's been great, guys, doing this.
Brilliant. Thanks for inviting. Love that.
Yeah. Look out for the goals.
Yeah, look out for the goals. I'm looking out for them, like, you know what I mean?
As I said, I've been trying. I had this idea a few months ago, as Kevin knows, and it so happened that he was free today, and it's perfect today because then more people will want to watch it, and it's just fantastic. Again, thanks, Kevin, for coming on and giving us your time and reminiscing on basically and your memories.
No, you're welcome, Ryan. You're welcome, James. You're welcome, Lee. No problem. It's a special day for us all.
Yeah.
We know it's a painful one, but it's a special day. So let's all get all the Gooners to celebrate his life. You know, what a fantastic Mr. Arsenal.
And that was the whole point of what we want to do, because of who he was, to celebrate him, and show even how many years down the line he'll never be forgotten.
No, that's
no matter what.
That is the thing, never to be forgotten.
And as I said at the top of the show, every year the love and the tributes get bigger and bigger and bigger. You can't say that for many people. Sorry to say, but that is, and that's why I love people like David to have that legacy still, even now. Fantastic. And again, James, Lee, thanks for coming on as well.
No problems. Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
more than welcome.
I'll be back. Well, a couple of days off. I'm going to have last couple of days cabin fever here because I can't go out. And then back on Thursday, which again, James is coming back with me and Glenn, and we're going to do a different show where basically we could do like an Arsenal 1 to 11 at one point, but also touch on the Fabregas podcast recently, and what he had to say, the reason why he left, this, that, and never came back. Because I listened to it. I didn't want that podcast to end because there's so much that came out that we'd never been told before.
Yeah, it was.
So I think that's interesting to
frustrating.
Yeah. Frustrating. Oh, yeah, just a tad. But it is what it is. And I appreciate for whatever people say about him then going from us from Barcelona to Chelsea. His honesty in that podcast, the reason why, and what the transparency of what that Arsenal had the week, they didn't even bother. Not even Wenger bothered to contact him and say, you know what, we're not interested, or we do want you. Them sort of things niggle.
Hard to swallow.
Yeah, but you see, what you're starting to understand now is, as a fan, the club will never come out and say it.
No.
But it takes years and years and years for a player like Fabregas to actually come out and say it, because at the time he can't say it.
No.
But the football club had the first dibs on him, and never took it on.
And it was well known. That's the thing. From the second he left to go to Barcelona, it leaked out in hours that if he wanted to come leave Barcelona, we had the first dibs at a set price as well.
Yeah.
So, and then fast forward a few years, and when he had the chance to come back, it frustrated me that we never.
Why put the clause in the first place?
Well, exactly. Why make a whole fuss of it?
There's only one person can answer that. Why? And that's we'll have to wait till Mr. Wenger gets his book out or something, because I think he's going to have to explain that one, because it's a baffling one as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I can answer for Lee. I can answer it for you.
Go on, Kev.
Well, because look, at the time, the fans don't want to lose him. They understand the pull to Barcelona is so big for a Spanish lad who's come through the ranks at Barcelona. So if the opportunity to get him back does come, hey, we'll have the clause in. It doesn't cost any extra to have the clause in.
Yeah.
So that's why you put it in there. And then when you do get to that point, obviously things have changed in the club. So they're not going to shell out on a player because probably they couldn't afford the wages or whatever. You know what goes on at Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's in the end, it's going to be about wages.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, especially in the coming months with clubs.
Kevin makes a great point. Kevin makes a great point as well about timing. Timing is everything in football. And I'm fortunate enough to speak to many different players and managers at all different levels. And some are more open than others. It also depends. As strange as it might sound, it may also depend. The information that somebody gets may also be dependent on the language you're conducting an interview in. I mean, I'll give you an example. If I'm interviewing the likes of Martijn de Rosa or Ricky van Wolfswinkel in their mother tongue, they're likely to tell me more than if I was interviewing them in English, for example, or Spanish players or English players. So it really does depend. Timing of the interview, timing of what he feels he's at liberty to say. And it's new information for Arsenal fans to digest. But, Fabregas as well, Kevin makes a great point about the pull to go to Barcelona. I think Guardiola at the time was his idol when he was a kid. I think the pull to play under Guardiola, you don't know when the opportunity is going to come round again. I think Arsblog did very well to get such an interview. As I say, I'm quite fortunate in my position to interview quite a lot, but normally you go through the correct channels professionally, as that's something you have to do. And I know from my own experience that Monaco can be a bit of a tough nut to crack. So they did ever so well, and it's new information. And everybody will.
It was quite forthright with it as well, wasn't
he?
He was quite forthright. He was, said how it was, So,
which upset some players apparently.
there's reasons in there. I don't hold it against him anyway. Like, you know what I mean. So
that's the thing. When he left the Barcelona, I always understood the fact of him being a Catalonian himself.
Yeah, he was always going to go back there. Yeah,
it was that pull alone was always going to be hard to refuse. And then to add, as you said, Pep Guardiola being a childhood hero. So I understood him going. It was the fact that we had that, it was made perfectly clear we had that exercise to bring him back. And then the fact we didn't even contact the club, no one in the club asked and said, and then in a phone call or in a meeting, had a face-to-face meeting and say, you know what? I know we have this in place, but we're in a different direction now. And you know what, you can go off and choke to other clubs, and instead of just letting him sit there for 7 days twiddling his thumbs waiting to hear back. It's sort of
Ryan
about that. That's all. That's
Ryan. It tells you Arsenal were never in the market for the top players.
No, that as well.
It's that simple.
They still ain't now, so that's worrying. I mean, it's all when
but you know what, Ryan?
The gems as well. The little gems like Martinelli. It's all well and good doing it. We can't do it. Not every young player you're going to bring in, low budget players, is going to have that sort of effect.
Yeah, but you know what, Ryan? Ryan, if you look at what we're doing, and you look at some from a team like Sheffield United, how is Sheffield United there and where we are?
Graft and determination, and
is it the recruitment? Or is it the quality of player?
Both.
Recruitment is a big thing. It's a big key. We've been let down on the recruitment side for a very, very long time at Arsenal. Very, very long time. In fact, since David Dean's left, really.
I was literally about to say the second he left, the night he left, from there on in,
Arsene Wenger was never the same.
No,
he was never the
True.
same.
That's true.
Never the same.
But listen,
he took on too
Arsene
much.
Arsene Wenger had the ultimate boardroom guy on his side.
Yeah.
That's the problem. When you have a David Dean upstairs and you're the manager, it's difficult for you to fail because he wants what's best for Arsenal, and he will listen to you and he'll recognise what the players are and he'll say, right, let's go out and get them. But when you haven't got somebody like that fighting your corner in the boardroom, makes life so much more difficult, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, and we're going to save that all for
another one.
You'll have to save it for a couple of days, Ryan.
This is all for Rocky and for everyone to make the most of it and enjoy something, and just take the minds off things and enjoy and have some fun, some enjoyment in reminiscing on the old times. As I said, thanks guys for coming on. I appreciate your time again, James. I'll see you again on Thursday. Lee and Kevin.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me on. Really special to speak to Kevin Campbell and Lee and yourself about such an Arsenal legend on a day like today. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Absolutely no problem. And again, Kevin and Lee, I hope to have you both back on again soon.
No problems. Thanks for having us on, James.
Cheers, Ryan.
You know,
James, we're going to get that interview in soon.
Yeah. James?
Yeah. Timing is everything, as to say.
Timing is everything, that's right.
Timing is everything, but we'll
Timing is everything. All right, mate. Listen, you just message me anyway. Cheers, Ryan. Thanks, everybody.
No
will do.
Take care. Cheers, Lee.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye.